Maxim, what's happening, man? How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for jumping in, man.
Of course. Thank you.
This is
Thank
rad.
you.
So I want to tell you something. So I
Hmm.
don't even remember who reached out a few months back, right? When I first reached out to you guys, I don't remember who it was within the Apogee community that was like, hey, oh my God, you're gonna love this guy. You're gonna love what his family is doing. Like it's so spot on, right in line. Can we please reach out and see if he'd be willing to come on? I said, sure, glad to do it. Started diving in. Didn't take me long before I went, okay, we're very much same page. Reached out and you were very gracious and was like, yeah, let's just we got a little bit of time here and then we can get it knocked out. So it's like, all right, cool.
Right.
So we got it scheduled this week. So I live on a farm in North Carolina, and this week the old farmer that we bought this from, we moved out of California, bought this place a few years back. The old farmer is like, "Hey, I'm gonna come back on site, come help you guys out, come see you guys." I said, "All right, great." And he goes, "Hey, but by the way, um, I got introduced to this whole family. There's this book that's coming out." He's like, dude, I'm telling you, he's like, it reminds me so much of what I think you're doing. Like, you're gonna love these guys. And so he sends me a video, and it's some guy
Mhm.
named Matt Smith talking about this whole thing. I think you know who Matt is. I think you guys, right? A little bit, like you got a relationship a little bit. So he's like, and so this old farmer's like, you guys, this guy's speaking your language. And I'm like, I'm literally speaking with Max this coming Friday. So it's just cool how the world goes full circle, man. So that was too long of a story to say this is freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's synchronicity.
Yeah, man.
100%. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, 100% it is. So I'm busy diving into the book right now. Dude, so good. This is one of those things where I'm just like, yep, yep, like verbally, like I'm saying it out loud. I'm just like, yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep. Like you guys are knocking it out the freaking park, man. So we're just
that's
gonna
awesome.
dive into you, gonna talk into your journey. Easy day today. Some of these guys will come in and ask questions, and that's where we're going. Where are you in the world, man? Remind me.
I'm in South America. I'm in Uruguay. We have a ranch down here, and we
Yeah.
moved down here in October of 2021.
Nice.
Yeah.
Feels like home-ish now.
Yes, now it does. It didn't for a long time because the
Yeah.
culture is so different than the
Yeah.
States. But yeah, now it does feel like home. It's the home base now,
Super
which is
cool.
nice.
Oh, super cool. Super cool. Okay. So we got a million different places we can go. A lot of these young guys that are here that we get to pour into, 14, 15, 16. Some of them are on campuses, some of them are homeschooled. Our campuses, our Apogee campuses are more like homeschool co-op type deals. We're very focused on building meta skills, the skills that actually matter for moving yourself forward in life that everybody needs and the skills that individually that human being wants for the life
Right.
he or she wants to have, right? That's a huge part. Um, your story is very much in line with that. So I'll let you give the high level overview as we get going forward. But so who's Maxim
Mhm.
at 13, 14, 15? Who is this young guy? Where are you in the world at that point? We're gonna kind of start there and bleed into what you guys have built.
What, 13, 14, 15? I'd say I was like basically for the majority of my life, just like a typical normal kid, nothing interesting. We lived in Colorado at the time. Um, and then like I said, we moved here in October of 2021. Um, but before my 18th birthday, just before my 18th birthday, of course, when you turn 18, that's when the world, you got to get out in the world and do stuff. And that's when you have much more opportunity to do a lot of things in the world. So I felt that pressure of needing to get out there and do something, but I didn't ever want to go to college. Um, and especially with my father being an entrepreneur, he had never pushed it on me or my sister to go to college. Um, so after going to a Wrangler school and thinking that that's what I wanted to do, like I thought for a very short amount of time that I was going to be a Wrangler, at least for a few years. Um, I sent a message to the guy who ran the Wrangler school saying, "Hey, I loved it. Um, I is it possible for me to work with you? I don't expect you to pay me anything. I just want to learn." And I got no response, which was very surprising because this is a guy who's extremely popular on YouTube,
Mm,
um, and is known for being a man's man,
mm,
being a guy who advocates for young men. So it's surprising to get zero response. Um, so after that, I was like, man, being a dumb kid, I was like, there's no other, there's nothing else to do. I don't know what to do. And I said that to my dad. Um, and I think around that time, he definitely realized that I was lost and needed some help. So he reached out to Doug Casey, who is one of the writers of the book and legendary speculator and investor. I mean, this guy is, if you ever seen the Dos Equis ads, the most interesting man in the world, he is that man. He's done everything. Scuba diver, skydiver, martial artist, auto racer, skeet shooter, all that stuff. He's traveled to over 175 countries and lived in 10. So he's the man. Um, but my dad and Doug had had a relationship for over a decade at that point, and Doug had always wanted to write a book with my dad about becoming a Renaissance man.
mm.
My dad had really no interest in it until about that time when he realized that I need some direction. So it was it started off as just trying to help me, and that's when Doug came up with a list that was kind of the genesis of everything, and that was a list of games, activities, and occupations that he thought if a young man were competent in the majority of them or all of them, he would be far ahead of everybody else. So then I just started doing some of those things, like going to EMT school was one of the first big things I did. And yeah, it's led down a 2-year path since then. So that's where it started.
I love it, man. You guys hear what he is saying here? The path, the preparation, as you guys are calling it, it was literally starting with a list of essentially projects, challenges, going back to being that Renaissance man of going, okay, what do I want to know? What should every young man know? Right. And then figuring out the blend of those things. Again, the blanket meta skill of what should everybody know, and then the what do I want to know, and combining those, and then actually going and creating cycles in your life where you are attacking vigorously, gaining the skill sets from immersing yourself in those things. So you essentially kind of became like the beta tester, really kind of for the preparation. I mean, that's really
Yeah,
what you're doing, right?
I think that's been my unofficial official name since
Really?
the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of the beta test. So I mean, I want to get into the core concept of what this preparation is. So you guys, you structured around these cycles, right? Like you're
correct.
structuring around like 3 month cycles, real world experience. You mentioned EMT, in firefighting, building houses, right? Like operating heavy machinery, ranch work, martial arts, aviation. Like, am I categorizing all of this kind of correctly?
Yeah, 100%. So there's 16 total cycles within the book that make up the um last couple pages of it really, along with all the resources for all of it.
Yeah.
And all the cycles, a cycle is a 3-month period, so basically a quarter. And within each cycle you have your anchor course, which is the main overarching objective. So each cycle has its own unique name. Like there's the fighter cycle, and that's the main anchor course in that is going to Thailand to train Muay Thai.
Mm,
And everything's built around the main anchor course. I guess a few more examples of an anchor course would be the heavy equipment operator course in Florida that we have in the book. It would also be going to the Shelter Institute in Maine, where you learn how to build a house.
mm.
Also, getting your private pilot's license, sailing, lots of different things. There's an entrepreneurship cycle as well. But that's where everything's built around. And from there, you have the academic courses. So everything you'd get in college, except for some of the very complex hard sciences, all those courses are for you can find them for free online or virtually
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
So we went out of our way to pick out a lot of those academic courses and put them in the book
Yeah.
and structure them in cycles that made sense. So you have the anchor course, the academics, And then you have activities as well. And the purpose of activities is not just to do fun stuff, but it's also to build smaller competencies in areas that are more fun, like scuba
Mm,
diving, for example. Skydiving is another one. Learning how to play an instrument like guitar or piano. Learning a second or third language is another one. Lots of different things. And we have a whole chapter dedicated to those activities in the book as well. And then apart from the activities, you also have the reflection and accountability.
mhm,
So we ask people in the book to create either a Substack page or a Beehive account, which are two publication websites.
mm,
And with those, we we tell people to basically post weekly updates on what they're doing.
mm.
And there's two objectives with doing that. One of them is to reflect and go over everything you did in the past week. And that's helpful for two reasons. It's helpful for keeping track of your progress, and it's also helpful for actually learning because
Sure.
especially if you gain more followers over time, you're going to feel the burden of actually having to explain what you're learning. So you
Right.
learn better because of it. But also, as you gain more traction of people following with what you're doing, you feel the weight of having to hold yourself accountable by making constant progress.
Mm.
So all of that encompasses a cycle, and there's 16 of those, which make up 4 years of time, which would be the equivalent of
I agree.
college. Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly
So
right.
that's the cycles there.
So again, when you're talking about just, and I don't know what you know and what you don't know, but this is how closely aligned everything on our campuses, our home
Mhm.
education programs, our men's, women's, young women's, everything is built on specific projects, challenges, getting out competent, developing these competencies, having a tribe around to report back on. And for these young men and the young students too, it is building out essentially a digital portfolio that shows this continuous growth. It's that's why everybody, I get it. I get why the parallels are undeniable on that. Um, and
Absolutely.
and I love the way you guys framed it in the book. It's something, one of my least favorite questions ever. I've been in education for a couple of decades, and one of my least favorite questions of all time. It's when people ask kids, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I hate
Mhm.
that. And I love the way you guys framed it. And I've always taught my kids to reframe that as, who do you want to be today? What are the problems you want to solve today? What are the things you want to do today? Like today is like, what does that look like? I've always taught them to reframe this. I love what you guys put in there because you said, what is the type of man you want to be? Like, who is the type
Right.
of man you want to become? Like that's a
Mhm.
better question up front. And I love that so dang much because your aim is not just a credential. It is to it is to tackle all these things so you can become more confident, more capable, more adaptable in any environment. Not because
Right.
you focused on becoming confident, you focused on acquiring all these skills, and confidence ends up being a byproduct of that. Did that naturally just make sense to you when your dad and Doug and you guys start kind of laying that out? Did that naturally make sense to you, or was there any part of you that was like, I don't want to tackle this one, or this one? How did you react to that?
I think it was natural, and part of
Yeah.
it was because, well, I think when people hear it, it just kind of clicks. It makes sense. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it should be. But part of it was the simple way Doug has always laid it out, which is that the three most important verbs in any language are be, do, and have.
Mm,
Be, do, and have. And our culture focuses on the have. What do you want to
mm,
have? How much money do you want to make?
mm.
Um, what kind of job do you want to have? What kind of spouse do you want to have? What kind of house or car do you want to have? That's the main focus. And the problem with that being the main focus is that it completely distorts
Yep.
uh, your goals and also distorts yourself and how you present yourself in the world because then everything you do in order to have is almost meaningless.
Mm,
So instead, when you have the be, do, have framework that allows you to reframe how you go about acting in the world, instead you look at it as, okay, the way I can have more things is by doing more things. Um, and by doing more things, I can have more things. It's a virtuous cycle. But the overarching main thing that I should be reaching towards is the be. And I
Love
should primarily be doing stuff to become the man I want to be. And
it.
especially for someone who's lost, especially a
Mm.
lost young man, if you start off with the be, everything falls in line because you can go, well, if this is the kind of man I want to be, if you think about it, then what do I have to do to become that man?
This is what I do. Right.
So everything falls in line exactly with the be do have framework. It's the most important part of it all, I think.
It's so smart, man. Any of these, um, it's so again, it's spot on in line with how we're viewing things. Any of these cycles that you've gone into, fighting fires and going over to Muay Thai. I got a friend that runs AKA in Thailand. Shout out to Mikey
Really?
Swing. Um, Learning the drones and flying. I'm trying to remember what else was in there, but like any of these cycles that really surprised you the most and kind of shifted your, that you feel like kind of made a shift in you more, like maybe you liked it more than you thought you would, hated it more than you thought you would, pulled more out of it than you thought you would, like any of these cycles that you look back on and go, whoa, that one was way different than I thought it would be.
I think everyone has been a little different than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I believe that.
Just because part of it's lack of experience,
Yeah.
especially being young. It's like I know nothing, and I know a little bit more than I did 2 years ago, but I still know nothing. But everything's been surprising. I mean, when the first thing I did was go to EMT school, which was 4 months long, and I had no interest in becoming an EMT. But
Yeah.
when I got into it, I was like, oh, this was the first time in a long time that I had actually learned something that I wanted to learn. So it was very surprising to enjoy it. But everything's been a little different than I thought it would be. I worked on wildfires last year. That was different than I thought it would be. Um, I did the sailing cycle and I sailed around the Falkland Islands and through the Strait of Magellan. That was very different than I thought it would be. Um, and it's eye-opening. It's kind of unlocking not only areas of knowledge, but also different parts of the world and how you think about things.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Very much does. And I think you touch on a piece of whether you know it or not. It's a piece of wisdom that um, we got a lot of our men on here too, and I want to impart this to our young men is that almost every experience is different than you think it's going to be.
Mhm.
And as you dive in, the deeper you get in, the more you experience, and the more you sort of know, the more you realize, gosh, there's so much I don't know. I mean, that really is the cycle of it. It's not what I thought it would be. And then the more I dive into it, I'm still gaining competence and the confidence that comes from that. And it opens up a whole new world of wonder where I go, shoot, man, there is so much I don't know, and I never will. Um,
Right.
and I think that either scares some people or it opens up that natural wonder of like, how cool is that? I can just keep on exploring.
It definitely, I mean, from the small sample size of people around my age who have read the book,
Yeah.
um, it's been good to see because it is daunting
Yeah.
going out into the world and doing things without any promise, real or fake. Because that's one thing with college is, especially up until recently, it's had the promise of security, of getting a job afterwards and being set for life, essentially, by getting a degree. Whereas when you're doing things on your own, um, and especially because I've been the beta tester for it, I had no structure. So there is a little bit more certainty of things now that we have the cycles in the book. It feels better, but you're still going at it alone, and there's no guarantee of success in any way that can be defined in a broad term. Really, success has to be defined by you personally. Um, so it is daunting, and from that small sample group that we have, we some young men have looked at it and read through it and kind of understood it, but have not done anything with it.
Yeah, that's what you
Because
call.
it takes courage to do anything, whether you're an entrepreneur, which I know you are. You're going out into the world and doing things on your own, and nobody really believes like it can be a success until it is a success, which is
Right.
crazy, but
That's
that's
right.
how it is.
Yeah, and
So it is daunting.
you have to get over that illusion of security quickly. I mean, there's no, that illusion, I think it's starting to dissipate a little bit with the college degree now, culturally speaking. It's that's people are
Yeah,
realizing there is no security in that anymore either. But people do very much struggle, not just young men, men struggle with that lack of security, understanding that that's just inherent. There is no guarantee.
right. Exactly. There is no guarantee. And I think that's more and more clear over time, just using college as an example. Still, I mean, it's always been um, you're hoping that you'll get a good degree that'll hopefully get you a good job, that'll hopefully lead to this, that, and the other thing. And now, especially with AI, that's an additional thing on top of it, where especially degrees like computer science right out the gate are being rendered obsolete. At
Yeah,
least the entry level jobs are being rendered obsolete. I mean,
right.
I read an article from the New York Times the other day where this guy had got a computer science degree, applied to 5,700 jobs, got 13 interviews, and nothing came of it. And now he's on unemployment. So there
Unbelievable.
is no guarantee of anything in life. There is
Yep.
no guarantee of anything.
Yeah, I talked to two young men over the course of the last couple months. One of them, relatively well known, and extraordinarily successful entrepreneur already as a high school senior, and applied to and was the valedictorian of a large high school and all the things you're supposed to do and then some.
Yeah.
Applied to 20 some odd different universities, got into one, and he was like, what is the deal? Like, what? I'm like, well, you're playing the same game everybody else is, and there is a game that's going on here. I talked to another young man who's 1600 SATs, 4 point whatever on his GPA, had applied to same thing. It was like 30 some odd colleges, got into none. He's like, wait, I did all of the right things. It's like, well, there is this game here. This illusion that we've been sold, man, is bananas. How are you seeing, like, how many? I don't necessarily want you to quantify numbers, but are you guys seeing good traction? How much conversation do you have with families who are taking this approach and they're going, okay, I'm going to take the preparation and I'm going to kind of go through this. Like, how's that traction been going? And what's the communication with folks who are going through this?
Well, I think we're yet to see a lot of it because it just came out on
The
the
book
18th
itself.
of
Yeah,
last
yeah,
month.
yeah,
Yeah, the book
yeah,
just came out.
yeah,
Um, so, and the primary two groups who are buying the book are parents and grandparents,
yeah,
and they have to convince their kids or grandkids to read it in the first place, which is already kind of a task in of itself.
yeah,
So I think we'll get a better idea of what it looks like for people around my age,
yeah,
probably in a few months from
yeah.
now,
As they
as
start
they
to,
actually, yeah, yeah.
I'm going to be interested to see, at least based on my experience with what we're doing here. I'm going to be interested to see if the tide doesn't turn and you almost get flipped around to where you end up having to have more, because this is my experience is we speak about these things that are logically, just they logically make so much sense that adults go, yep, totally, gosh, yep, nailed it, 100%. Everything Maxim is saying right here makes all the sense in the world for myself, never mind just my young kids. But I can't get it. Like, oh my gosh, all my friends are sending their kids to college, and everybody says you got to go to college, and everybody, God, they'll let the emotional side take them back over there. So I'm interested to see if it flips, and you're gonna have to have more conversations with. You'll have young people that are like, yes, what he said, and then the parents will be like, but I don't get my Harvard bumper sticker, you know? So it's like, I wonder
We'll
how that's
see.
going to go.
We'll see. I mean, I think the one good thing about parents being the main people who buy the book,
Yeah.
parents and grandparents, is
Yeah.
that I mean we lay it all out in the book, including what the downfalls are of college. I mean, a lot of people when they come out of college, they're having this includes the debt they have to pay off and what they've already paid already. The total cost is about $300,000 for most people. That's including the opportunity cost of not working during
Right.
those years.
Right.
Uh, and $300,000 is the median net worth of most families in the States. So on that metric alone, it's like, that's
Yeah.
weird. And then
Yeah.
there's no guarantee, and we lay out the fact that AI is coming on, it's on the horizon, and it's going to wipe away a lot of white collar jobs, actually, not blue collar jobs, white collar jobs. All
Mm,
those high paying jobs that people go to college for are going to be gone, at least the entry level positions. Um, but not only do we kind of dispel some of the myths about higher education, we also show people how to go about doing the program, even if they have nothing, no money at all, zero resources, because it is possible. I mean, EMT school for me in Boise, Idaho was $1,500. And that led me to a wildfire gig that paid me $600 a day.
yeah.
So, and that happened, that turnaround happened very quickly. I went to EMT school one year, the next year I was on wildfires. So, and during that time I worked at Office Depot. I worked as a pizza delivery driver and I saved 5 grand, which got me through EMT school. So even if you have nothing or you have an unlimited amount of money at your disposal, you can get through it. And
Yeah.
that's one of the big objections of it all is the financial aspect of things. Because we also have people look at the cycles and go, oh, that seems expensive. And some of them are. I mean, getting your private pilot's license is expensive. The
Sure.
sailing course is expensive.
Sure.
Heavy equipment operator course is expensive. Of course, with the heavy equipment stuff, you can turn that around pretty quickly to get a high paying job.
Very much so.
But the total cost of all of the cycles combined is about anchor courses alone, it's about $73,000 over the course of 4 years, which really isn't all that much, especially if you're working during that time.
Huh.
Uh,
And offsetting
and
some of that cost. And it's still far less than what most people are paying for the university. And you're coming out with a massive amount of skills that are immediately applicable to opportunities.
exactly. And along the way, especially if you are if you create like a Substack page, for example, and are putting it out into the world, showing the world what you're doing, writing
Yeah.
about it,
Yep.
then, and especially if you're a young person, people want to help you. I mean, I've had 3 very random, out of the blue opportunities which came to me from publishing my stuff on Substack.
Yeah.
One of them was working on wildfires. One of them was working on a geophysics crew in Nevada. And one of them was learning how to pack mules in the Colorado mountains for a couple days.
That's
So
pretty
those are 3 very different, very odd opportunities, but the amount of people that want to come out of the woodwork to help a young person is amazing, especially if they see you have some ambition, some drive to get things done. So all of it can lead to more and more compounding opportunity.
it's
It's
freaking. Oh, I love
yeah,
it. Every bit of it. I know we've got hands that are starting to come up, and Mr. Bryson, I'm going to grab you here in just a second too. But before we do, so we got again young men that are on here and listening to Maxim. I know we didn't ask this right at the beginning. Just remind me, how old are you, sir?
I'm 20 now.
So we're just putting that out there, guys. Just putting that out there. 20-year-old young man, not that much older than a lot of guys that are right here on this call and questioning themselves and doubting themselves, and definitely younger than some of the men who are on this call who are my age who are doubting themselves and questioning themselves and just going, "Ah, I'm not." So I just want to put this out there too. All right, Mr. Bryson, come on in, sir.
And thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, Maxim. Uh,
Of
it-
course.
it- Here's the question I have is this: everything that you've done, have you
Mhm.
noticed patterns that show up in each of those tasks or those situations in that learning? Have you seen something that just sticks out as a continuous pattern, or is it just, I guess I'd say, or something in that aspect? Because I have a tendency to see things in different tasks and different things I've done myself, and I see patterns or hints of a pattern. And I'm just curious if you've seen that.
Interesting.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think one of the best things about the cycles and the 3 month time periods of focusing on one thing and then switching it over to doing the next thing for the next 3 months, the back-to-back uh, quick changes over to doing new things, you get to see where things connect, interconnect in strange ways that you wouldn't have seen before. Um, whether that be a certain type of skill like rope skills, which translate into wildfires, translate into sailing, translate into farm work, all of that. You see where skills can cross lines that you never thought they could cross. I don't know if that answers your question.
Makes sense.
I know that answers my question. Is there, if you could put your hand on one skill that you've continually seen and all of that, or one aspect of it, could you tell us what it is?
One skill that I've continuously seen that crosses into everything. Um, I'd say it's less of a tangible skill and more of just the ability to lean into what's happening in the moment. There's lots of tangible skills that cross lines, but they're almost insignificant when it compares to like just when you're selling, for example, or working on wildfires. The biggest skills you can have are the ability to just say, something needs to be done right now, and I'm going to step in, I'm going to lean into it. I think
Yeah,
that's the number one thing.
I believe, I believe that.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I believe that, man. The willingness to dive in and the ability to communicate and collaborate with those around you in all of those, I would imagine, there's that again, like from a meta skill standpoint, the ability to communicate um, what you know, what you don't, work with somebody to figure out how to solve a problem. I mean, I feel like those in and of themselves, like you said, not necessarily something that's super tangible that you can necessarily put a finger on right there, but that is something that crosses into every single one of these things is the ability to communicate and get something done with somebody else.
100%.
That's good.
100%.
Um,
And that, sorry
but
to interrupt, that just ties in with the character, which is a huge aspect of everything. Are those intangible skills? Is what kind of man do you want to be question is closely related to that.
yeah,
And those skills become much easier to obtain if that's your main goal is becoming the man you want to be.
very much so. Do you, when you're diving into the various cycles, when you yourself are looking at, okay, for the next few months, I'm going, this direction, and you have a course that you're going to take, or you've got like you have that. Do you start taking a look at the men who are currently in that arena? Do you start looking for men currently in that arena to give a little bit of a North Star? So like from a specificity standpoint, you're like, okay, on the farm side, I'm gonna go dive into Joel Salatin's work or whatever. Like do you have somebody specifically for each thing? And then from a general standpoint, do you have men that you specifically look up to, past, present, or whatever, that you're like, ooh, I want to model a little bit of my journey after this guy. So specifically in each one of these cycles, and then more from a general perspective.
Mhm. Within the individual cycles, I'd say going into it, no, just because most of the time I have no idea what things are going to
Yeah.
look like or what I should be focusing on. Um, I've always found that it's it's good to dive into things head first, where you can kind of verify that this is a good path worth pursuing, and then you just go into it without doing too much forethought. Um, I found that to be the best, which I think in doing that, I found men to look up to within those things, but only after getting into it in the first place.
Mm.
Whether that be um, the guy who ran the Wildland Fire EMS company that I worked for, or the skipper on the sailing boat that I was on, or the guy who taught me packing in the Colorado mountains. Um, I came to look up to those men
Yeah.
after doing it, and kind of getting a model for what to focus on from
Yeah.
that. But when it comes to men I look up to, past, present, I would say um, some. I think I would divide it into fictional and
Yeah.
real,
Yeah.
because I think those fictional characters are a huge part of it as well. I mean, I
Agree.
have Morris Sackett's series on my bookshelf back there, and that whole series, 18 books, is all about um, very capable men, but also men of goodwill, good character, men of honor, men of virtue.
Mm.
Um, Also, The Count of Monte Cristo is a huge one. I think all you guys should read The Count of Monte Cristo. It is one of the best books ever written by Alexander Dumas. And it is a revenge story. That's not the part I focus on. The part I focus on within that is his ascension. I mean, just a brief overview of it. He was the Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes, was a sailor on a merchant ship, and he was about to gain everything. He was about to become the captain of the merchant ship. He was about to get married to the love of his life, and then everything was taken away from him. And he was sent to the Chateau d'If, which is a prison in the story. And he was there for 14 years. And then somewhere along that timeline, he ran into a man who would become his mentor, basically, a priest. And the priest taught him sword fighting, knife fighting, hand-to-hand combat, economics, how to read and write because he couldn't, several different languages. So he started gaining all those skills, which allowed him to be a great man later on. But I think another person, a real person who I look up to would be Socrates.
Mm.
And the reason I say Socrates is because not only was his primary goal in life to pursue virtue, which is probably the most important thing in life, but he was also extremely capable. He was a capable wrestler, and he fought in the Peloponnesian War as well. He was known as a great fighter um, in the wars. So I would say those men for sure. Those men.
I like your style and the book recommendations. Spot flipping on one of the greatest classics for a reason. Yep, I agree. Should be on everybody's bookshelf. Holy, when you're looking at your next cycle, when you're looking at your next couple of years, how are you mapping it out personally? What are the next few things on the docket for you?
Um, well, it's become much easier to map it all out because now I can follow something that we've developed in the book,
Right.
which is
100%.
the cycles.
Yep.
And I didn't have the cycles until the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
So now I can just look in the book and go, this is the cycle I'm going to do next. I can choose whichever one I want and follow the academics and reading and everything that's in there.
Mm.
Um, so the next two cycles I'm going to do, the one I'm in now, is the entrepreneurship cycle.
Mm.
And then the next one after that will be the fighter cycle in Thailand. So those are the next two things on the docket.
So rad. Do you know where you're gonna go when you're in Thailand? Do you know who you're training with?
Um, I found this one. I was deciding whether I should train somewhere by the beach or in Chiang Mai in the mountains, and I went with Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
I'm going to be training with a place called Lana
Okay.
Muay Thai.
Very
Uh,
cool.
so up in the mountains.
I love
It's
it.
awesome.
Do you have martial arts background right now, or is that going to be relatively new?
It's gonna be newer. I've done throughout the the time, the preparation over these last 2 years, I've done uh, a few months of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
Yep.
and a couple weeks of kickboxing in Paraguay.
Okay. Very
So
cool.
just a
I'm
little
ex-
bit.
I'm excited for you, man. Oh, I'm excited for you.
I think it'll
Uh,
be lots of fun.
yeah, no, very much so. Mr. Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for coming on the call today. I appreciate you giving some time to us. And I'm just wondering, so it sounds like you've tried to a lot of different kind of learn different skills and stuff. And I'm just wondering, what is your process usually if you find something that you don't know, or if you're in a situation where you don't know where you could help out, or you don't know exactly what to do? What is your process on that?
It's a very good question. If I'm in a situation where I don't know what to do, well, I think one of the benefits of going on your own path at a young age is that you can lean heavily on the people around you without without them pitying you for not knowing what to do, even if it seems obvious to them. So I'd say if you're going to dive into something on your own, and you can start the preparation at a very young age. I mean, you can become a pilot at 15 before you get your driver's license. Um, so in anything you do, you can lean heavily on the people around you and look to them for the right path. But if it comes to more complex things, to like how you can should conduct yourself, how you should act in a certain situation, um, it should come from a place of again, what kind of man do you want to be? And with that, you should create your own personal code. And in your personal code, which we have in the book, we have people created. You should outline what are you going to allow yourself to do and not do, and what virtues do you want to pursue. And from all that, it can help you it can help you take on the more complex things in life, the complex challenges of how you should act or what decisions you should make. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
I love it, man. It was we right before this, I was with some of the men and some of the women, and we were talking to Kelsey Kohler, who's got a functional medicine program, and we are talking to her about this, and I mentioned this quote, and I'll mention it here again, but because you're talking about that code, and again, I love that that's a part of the book, and we've got an Apogee code that's a really a Bushido code is really what it is. And there's a quote that you guys use in the books from Sir Richard Francis Burton. And
Yes.
right, it says, "Do what manhood bids thee to do. From none but self expect applause. He noblest lives and noblest dies, who makes and keeps his self-made laws." And that's a reference to living by this code. And I made reference in that last call to this cheesy movie at the end of the 90s, early 2000s. And it was called, so the movie came out before you were born, but it was called The Skulls. And it's a
Mm.
movie about like Ivy League universities. And it's a fictional movie, but it's kind of tipping a hat to like the Skull and Bones Society and some of these like secret society fraternities, that a lot of these like government officials have come out of and all this time over the course of the years. So it's fictional, but it's around this. And there is one of the guys who is in there who's shown as he's a father of one of the guys who's currently in the fraternity, but he's like a prominent politician. And he says, "Our rules supersede those of the outside world." And I remember hearing that as a kid when I was watching this and going, "Oh, okay, man, yeah, because you guys are better than." But then as I grew older, I went, you know what? I want my personal rules to supersede those of the outside world too, especially when I look at the outside world and go, the bar is pretty low. The bar
Mhm.
is being set pretty low. This is talking more about a personal code. Like you said, that pursuit of virtue should matter to a man, I believe, more than society will say it should. And I think he should live by that code. So I love every single freaking bit about that. Um, And there's another quote too. I saw Beckett. Beckett, I'm gonna grab you too, because there's another quote that's in there too that I want to ask you about too. But let's bring Beckett in first.
Yep.
There you are, Mr. Wells.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming on the call and sharing your wisdom. I was wondering, you seem to really be able to fill your time and always be doing something. So when you're doing all these different tasks and, missions, say you will, all over the country, is there a plan at the end? Do you know when you stop? Are you, you know,
Hmm.
checking a box, or are you doing this to be a jack of all trades?
Hmm.
It's a very good question.
Hmm.
It's that's a question I get a lot is what comes after it all? What about after the 4 years of completing the preparation? What about after all the cycles? And I think it's a good question to ask, but it shouldn't be asked kind of like to me that question is especially coming from older people, it's kind of like the question we mentioned in the beginning. It's what do you want to do? Which shouldn't be the main focus, but also the amount of possibilities open to you if you complete all those things, if you complete all 16 cycles, um, are going to be endless. I mean, you're going to have a huge skill set, a very broad skill set, and maybe certain skills are going to have a lot of depth as well. So you can go a lot of directions with all of that. You can pick and choose where you want to go. But also
Hmm.
going back to the opportunity is that's a huge, huge part of it. Um, if you're a young man, let's say you finish it at 22, everybody's going to be looking to have you around, um, because you will be the man. You will have demonstrated that you can get things done within a very short amount of time, relatively short amount of time. I mean, if you completed all 16 cycles, you'd be doing more in 4 years than most people do in, I would
You
say
bet.
40.
You bet. Agree.
So everybody's going to be, and you're going to garner a lot of relationships with highly successful people if you're doing this, especially if you're writing about it, getting it out into the world. They're all going to want to support you and put you in positions to where you can be even more successful.
Hmm.
So I don't think there is necessarily an end goal with it other than to get closer to the man you want to be. Everything else can go in various directions. Does that answer your question, Beckett?
Yes, sir, and I do agree. I phrased that wrong. So if I was to rephrase it, if you don't mind, who do you plan on being by the end?
Hmm.
That's also a very difficult question. What kind of man do I want to be? I think to put it simply, a more virtuous and capable man. That's the main goal
Hmm.
for sure.
I love it.
Yes,
I love it.
thank you so much.
Oh, I love it. And here's the
Beckett,
beauty. Here's the beauty, Beckett. To be a more capable and virtuous man. And there is always something we can do, no matter where we are, to be more virtuous and more capable.
100%. Virtue is a never-ending pursuit.
Yep.
Never ending.
Yep. So, like, hey, if that doesn't dissolve your illusion of security, of like, once I get to the end is 6 feet under. You can always be more capable and more virtuous. Make peace with that, and you lose the theoretical need for security. Most men just will not make peace with that fact. Yeah, it's a really good question, Beckett. Really
Very
good.
good questions, though, Beckett. 100%.
So good. And it bleeds into kind of what the quote that I was going to use, because there was a quote that you guys had in there from Mark Twain too, who says, I can teach anybody to get how to get what they want out of life. The problem is I can't find anybody to tell me what they want.
Right. Exactly.
Ah,
Exactly.
I love
It's
that.
it's funny how that works.
100%. And I love what you said. It's like, look, that what I want is to become more capable and more virtuous. And when you can define that, cool. It's a very simple goal. And so now I just move forward. I can alleviate all the issues with certainty that goes on. I can take a look at the word you use, which is the right word, I believe, for a young man and for a man to use, is opportunity. What are the opportunities? The more skills I've acquired, the more opportunities, the greater the network I've acquired through skill acquisition, a lot of times. What are the opportunities? I can take a look at the opportunities, and I've got a skill set and a network that allow me to take advantage of said opportunities. Taking advantage of those opportunities are going to simply open up a greater network, a greater skill acquisition, and it's going to present me with more opportunities. This is how it works, period.
Right.
None of
Exactly.
it happens sitting there doom scrolling or playing on your, PS whatever.
Exactly. And one other thing with that is the network you gain is not an artificial network. It's a network of true good people who
Correct.
you're also not leeching off of. You are someone who's capable yourself. So you're beneficial to that network. They want to have you around.
Bingo. There's an actual relationship that gets developed in there. Yeah, 100%. Beautiful. Ellis.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, Mr. Smith, thanks for coming on, man. It's awesome having
Thank
you.
you.
Dude, let me just say, you are freaking awesome. Like,
Oh,
dude, you are freaking awesome, man. It is my pet peeve when like young dudes waste their time on just like video games and drama nonsense within school and stuff like that. So the fact that like you as a young dude are taking like these young years where you're like in the best shape and most capable and really pushing towards all these adventurous like wild at heart things is just epic. Like the sailing, the fighting fires, like dude, that is awesome. That's epic.
thank you.
Question for you. You've mentioned a few times you did fighting wildfires for a while. What
Mhm.
I'm curious to hear a little bit about that. Did you ever have any like dangerous or close encounters with doing that?
Good question.
Yeah, so I technically only have fought fire once, and that's because I was wildfire's a little weird. If you are going there with a um, as medical personnel, then they really don't want you to be fighting fire for the most part. So once I got my EMT certification, I got that random opportunity from that guy who runs the Wildland EMS company to head out there. And so for the most part, a lot of your days are a bit more boring than it sounds on wildfires. It's not constant action, at least if you're on the medical side, because they want you hanging back a little bit, especially if you're on an ambulance, which I was. Um, did I have any dangerous moments? I mean, there was one time where we were hanging out on a dirt road and everybody's there. There's a whole structure to wildfires in terms of like chain of command, and division is the highest. So you had division supervisors hanging around in this area, and then you had a lot of the hotshot crews out front fighting this fire that was in front of us. Um, but the lines broke, and the fire started coming towards us pretty quickly, so we had to abandon our spot. And that was a little scary, because it does sound like a train, actually. It does sound like a train at that point. Um, but there weren't too many dangerous moments. There were few patients to treat during that time. Lots of heat-related injuries like heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and bee stings and poison oak, lots of things like that, but not necessarily like crazy
Yeah,
danger.
it's so cool. Like, but that's you can speak from experience on what it is. And like we said at the beginning, too, all of these experiences, you start to see the nuance of all of these too. Are there actual, you got to get out and fight the fire and you got fire related injuries? Do those things happen? You bet. But now you can see that that's a relatively small percentage of time. The vast majority is going to be spent on all of these other things that are byproducts of all of this, right? And you actually have that perspective because you've
Yeah,
experienced, right? So
Yeah.
we
yeah.
don't fantasize on what it could be. So good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One more question for you.
Yeah.
Dude, this 4-year course is like totally something like my younger brothers or even me would totally be down for doing. Where do you go to find out more information about this? Where do you go to like just learn about it, collect more information about it, sign up, like whatever you have to do?
Yeah, if you want more information on it, I would recommend going to my Substack page, which would just be my name, maximsmith.com. And from there, you can get I have 2 years of these weekly updates on there, so you can kind of see how things look. But if you're looking to get the book itself, it's just on Amazon, and we have the Kindle version, paperback and a hardcover, and all three of those have the workbook structure of it. So like the parts where it is like a workbook are the personal code part, um, and the cycles part. There's a spot in the book where you can create your own cycles. You can design your own cycles. But the book itself, which I have it here, it has all of the resources, all the books that we recommend, all the academic courses we recommend, and we give the exact locations and names of places to go to take the anchor courses, like the sailing course. Like we recommend one Muay Thai place in Thailand, a sailing course. So we have the specifics all in the book itself.
Yeah, let's go. Mr. Smith, thank you, man. Appreciate it. I'll
Thank
have to
you.
check it out.
Yeah, for
So
sure, man. I appreciate it.
awesome. Look at that. I didn't even ask Ellis to do that, but he came in at the like went on like the co Ellis, you might have a co-hosting gig
Right.
on here too. It's like, man, let's make sure everybody knows where to go and all the 100%, man. 100%. I wanted the exact same thing. I know we're coming up to the end of the hour here too, and what I want to do is I'm going to take these guys through a debrief here, friend, and gentlemen that are on the call. We're only going to go through the debrief today, and we got a little bit of an exercise. It's only going to be about 30 minutes today. I'm going to have to jump off a little earlier today for another meeting before my office hour. So I just want to give you guys that heads up. But I'm going to take these guys through, and I want to continue the conversation and with you with Matt's a great name, so I would like to be able to chat with him too, and Doug. How do we, as Apogee, as an organization who so very much believes in this, believes in what you're doing, running parallel thing, how do we help you best? Is there anything that glaringly stands out where you're like, hey, how, this would be super helpful if, and how can I help you, Maxim, especially on this entrepreneurial cycle you're in? Now, I've done my fair share of Muay Thai fighting as well.
Mhm.
That is something I've been doing for a long time too. But how do I help on the entrepreneurial side? So those are the final two questions on this side. How do we as an organization help you guys? Is there anything I can do specifically to help Maxim during this cycle that would be beneficial to you? Even if you don't have an answer now and you want to come back to me later, it's open, but I want to put it out there too publicly.
I mean, to to help us, I think probably two things, and that would be, I mean, I have no doubt that this would help all of you guys, no matter how old you are. I mean, this book is not just for people around my age. It's
Great.
not just for young men around my age. That's what we thought in the beginning. That's who it's primarily for. But since then, we found out that that's just not true. It's
Parents
for
need to
everyone.
read it. Parents and grandparents need to read it. I agree.
So, really, it would be one thing would be helping yourselves, honestly, by
Yeah.
doing it because it is life-changing. I can tell you that for a fact. I mean, if you read the first couple paragraphs of my preface in the book, I forget about probably more than half the things I've done.
Yeah.
If you read the first three paragraphs, you can see how much you can accomplish in 2 years. And I did that without the cycles, without the structure. So you can accomplish much more than I did within 2 years. So number one would just be doing it yourselves, which I highly encourage. I mean, your life trajectory will be 100% different if you take this path. But another one would just be um, getting it in the hands of
Yeah.
more young men, especially, at whether that be talking to people who have big platforms. I mean, really, it needs to be in as many people's hands as possible. So those are the two big ways you guys can be of help, and
Glad
we would greatly appreciate that.
Glad to do it, man. I have one of my meetings later today will be with some of our affiliates who are launching or have launched campuses in their own community, and we're going to continue to do that as well. And one of the partners that we have is Discover Praxis, started by Isaac Morehouse, much more of a internship based job guarantee 1 year program. And just again. A college alternative that I think is a very viable alternative as is this. So this is our wheelhouse. We get to talk to thousands of people around the world about this. So, again, I want to continue the conversation so that we can also put this in the hands of the families that we get to serve too. So, that's a no-brainer. How about for you, here in this entrepreneurial cycle? Is there anything that we can help with on that at
I
all?
think I would need to get back to you on that just because I'm starting to figure out where all the difficulties lie. I've never done anything like started my own business before, so it's very, very different. I still need to figure out where
Yeah.
where I have some trouble.
Oh, very cool. And I will tell you that everything you've said so far for every other cycle you've been in, that pattern will remain true. You're going to go in and you're going to dive in and you're going to go, oh, it's not what I thought it was. Oh, it's actually harder than I thought it was in a lot of areas. And then some areas that I feel like would be hard are
Yeah,
actually the most simple parts. And the longer I do it, the more I realize I don't know what I'm doing. All of those things remain true. I,
I see.
yeah, all those things remain true. And I've been an entrepreneur for a decade, and every day I go, cool, I've accomplished even more, and I still feel so much further away from being.
Yeah.
So I'll just see if I can get better and see if I can be a better human and see if I can be more virtuous and see if I can gain a new skill and be more accomplished. And there it is, man. It's the same pattern.
Well, it's good to know that it's the same pattern, that it's not too far off from the things I've already done. That's good
For
to
sure.
know.
Yep, it very much isn't. Maxim, highly impressed, honored, appreciative. These are all the things we know to be true as far as the capability of young men. And I just very little makes my heart as happy. And it's part of the reason I love getting to do these calls every Friday and having so many of these young men. Very little makes my heart as happy to know that there are such good young people out there who are accomplished and driven and articulate, and more importantly, pursuing virtue in the process of that, man. So thank you, truly.
No, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. It's been fantastic,
Oh,
honestly.
it's awesome, man. I will take these guys through a little debrief. I have meetings for the next 5 or 6 hours today, but by this weekend, I'm gonna shoot you a message because I got some things that I want to do for you guys, related to the book, as far as that goes. And I just want to continue the conversation and be a resource for you as well. So yeah,
I
truly
appreciate that, man.
honored. Honor is absolutely mine. Gentlemen, let's give Maxim a big thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Max.
sir.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, I'll
Appreciate
reach
it.
out this weekend. I appreciate you.
Good. All right. Bye, guys.